are back. It is another Monday. It is the 14th of December. We are not far away from Christmas whatsoever now.
Woo.
And with me today, obviously, is my age-old friend Carlo over there, as we know.
That's me.
And we're also joined today by a member of the German community, Lockerbie. Do you want to say hello?
Yes, I'm very glad to be here, and I thank you for the support, even in the last episode. And yeah, hello to the community from me as well from Germany.
Hey, good stuff. Right then. We'll start with the news as we always do on what I'm now rebranding for this week only. And I say this week only, it might not be only this week, we'll see. But the campaign ground. So, Carlo, I'll start with you. Let's go straight into the news. And the obvious news that was the tactics deck of the Greyjoys coming up.
Mhm.
Just quick thoughts.
Well, I discussed it when the guild did a first look over with quite a few guild members. To me, I love the theme of this deck. I think it really exemplifies what the Greyjoys should be looking at doing. I was a little bit surprised at how few ways there are to generate pillage before combat through the tactics cards. So I think that I would like to see a bit more of that in the commanders. Maybe I would like to see that come to the fore, because I think if not, they're going to struggle in certain games. Certain faction matchups will be very, very difficult for them to start their pillage mechanic going forward. Overall, I think if you compare it to the current decks that exist in the game, I believe it's very weak myself, without having seen it played or its exact interactions with the units or commanders. At the moment, I think it's weak. I think that indicates that the new faction decks that are going to come out are going to be weaker, and I would be happy about that. If not, then Greyjoys are going to have a tough, rough time to start with.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. Lockerbie, what were your opinions of the Greyjoys so far, and of course the Greyjoy tactics deck?
My first look at the tactics deck was a bit, a bit of both. On the one side, I also love the mechanics they were included, and it totally reminded me of the new Varys when he was released. And it seems like there's the new mechanic when your opponent chooses a pretty good tactics board choice. You gain any profit from that also. I also like that it was the theme of the raiding Iron Fleet that's going around and pillaging stuff.
Yeah.
I think I was not so surprised that there aren't as many pillage token before they enter any combat, because in my personal opinion they have to fight to earn those pillage tokens, and I like that pretty much. But I can also imagine what Carlo was mentioning there, that there will be a commander that is able to throw out some pillage to the units to buff them before they go into it, but he will lack some instant action cards, for example, I could also imagine.
No, yeah. I do think it is, as I say, kind of backing up what you're saying there, the non just give free pillage tokens out, you're not going to just immediately buff all your units into maximum efficiency before you even start doing any combat. I prefer that, because it means that you're not just, because obviously you just stand back, you superpower units and then go in. It's a bit of a non-game, if you will, from that side. So having to get the ball rolling with some aggression, taking on perhaps a little bit of a risky opening play, but then once that ball starts to go, just taking it and just keep rolling with it, I think is good. I like the interaction with so we've got swords and moneybags as the two interaction points, and the various different interactions where it's not always relevant who controls what. You kind of want opponents to own certain things at certain times and yourself to own certain things at certain times. So I think that's good as well.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing mechanic, and I would like that to be. I would like that to be in all decks. Like, I think that's the only way to reduce people's tendency to move towards 3 NCUs, as this way that, like, your NCUs, they give you this action as they go down on the board, but they also just empower everything you do. if there's a chance that you're actually empowering your opponent, then I think you're gonna move back into what I believe they believe the game should be, which is a 2 NCU kind of game.
But what I can also imagine would be something like distributing the pillage tokens. For example, what will you do with some iron makers, or what they are called, if they have the 2 pillage token and they destroy another rank, so that can there will be an action card, a tactics card that will give other units within short range, for example, that pillage token. That would be really cool.
Like sharing the spoils kind of thing.
Yeah, like the bowmen that were released. So maybe something in that direction.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah, no, cool. Obviously, tactics cards are out. We will see tomorrow, right? At Tuesdays when they do their Greyjoy releases. So it's likely we'll see tomorrow some more updates. And you can bet that some people in the community will get a video out in about 5 seconds since the release. And, you know, you can go and catch up on all what they do. Or, you know, you can have slightly more considered releases from other contributors out there. Rather than knee-jerk reactions, I think. Because knee-jerks always are nearly wrong.
Reactions. We love them.
Yeah, I know, right? We love them. But they're nearly always wrong in the end, aren't they? All right, we'll go back onto the...
right.
Yeah, you are. We'll get onto that in a minute.
When was the last time I was wrong, Miggy?
Last Tuesday? I don't remember.
Queen of Marine.
Yeah, Queen of
Marine was the last time I was wrong.
Yeah.
I thought Queen of Marine was going to be strong. She's not. She's bad.
All right, we'll move on to Thursday's news. The Visions in the Flames. Now, I'm going to be a bit negative. You know, ooh, me negative.
Mickey,
I know,
you're
right?
supposed to bring the good vibes.
Just a reminder. They said that this article was going to be about maths, right? They said this is about combat maths, and without going into a massive in-depth look at the article, I barely see any maths in this article whatsoever. There's no maths whatsoever. They talk about it, but they never actually show us any combat maths. So that makes me sad inside. It made me sad on the day of release. I still wanted to, you know, crunch numbers and look at the things. Now I understand why they've done it, but yeah. But that does bring us on to 4 units that we've seen. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the Stag Knights. We've seen those guys before. They've been released now for, is it 3 weeks now? Those guys have been revealed for. But we see Pyromancers, Lannister Guardsmen, and the Bloody Mama Skirmishers. Guardsmen, first of all. What do you think? Lockerbie, go
on. I think they're pretty tough now, and for 5 points a unit, I would absolutely love to pick with any faction.
Yeah.
Because on a 3+ save, that's pretty good, especially if you consider that they said there won't be a lot of one-shots, a lot of units that can one-shot a unit. So that means I get at least 2 orders off, and with all the tactic stacks and Cersei, etc., it will be a pretty rough time for the attacker. And I think that's a theme that also will be in the next units. You can see in the next units.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Lannister Guardsmen are a very, very, very good unit now.
Yeah, definitely. Carlo, your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think the most important part is this separation of their need for a guard captain, right? So they no longer require the pass anymore. So therefore, they don't have to have the guard captain. They become viable as a unit at 5 points instead of being only viable at 6 points with the guard captain. If other things are becoming weaker, and that's what they're talking about in this article and stuff like that, and things getting less attack power, I think they look phenomenally strong. I mean, it's classic. Things aren't necessarily getting better when we look at the fact that as soon as they released, everybody was discussing whether or not it's a -1 and then a -1 to 3, or a -1 to 3 on both. Like instantaneously, like that, like. It's not an improvement. Improve the way you write the rules. Like you can see the things you've written in the past, and everybody's gone, wait, what is it? And exactly the same thing. If anything, you know, things it almost feels like the rules are written by a non-native English language new speaker. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it feels like at times. So that part is like, oh, please just make it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a unit, they look very, very strong. As a Lannister player, I'm pretty damn happy with them. I'd field them at 5 points, and we'll see whether or not there's an attachment worth putting in them.
Yeah. I actually think that the new Sentinel Enforcer with Taunt might not be a terrible shout for them because,
Yeah.
Attacking these guys is not what you want to be doing. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Okay, the Bloody Mama Skirmishers, one of my personal favourite units, as anyone here knows. A unit. I guess the big one here is parry has disappeared from this unit and it's been replaced with Counter Strike, which is just a straight up better ability. Yes, it's not auto wounds, but on average it works out as a better ability. But Agile coming in, -1 to hit. Agile. I think the Bloody Mum Skirmishers for 6 points are looking again like an interesting unit. 6 movement as well. Any thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I absolutely love them. I saw them and I instantly fell in love with them because they're super fast, they are agile, they are the clowns dancing around your units, shouting, try to hit me, and then they are counter-striking and hitting your units directly in the face. And the most fun thing I think is that they have agile as an ability.
Yeah.
And you can combine that with other stuff, or also Counter-Strike as an innate ability, and not an innate, but an ability. And you can combine that with, for example, Jamie's skills, or you can combine that with Belva's tactics deck, and it's just bonkers. Just imagine going into a fight with them,
Yeah.
hitting them. You got weaken on them, maybe. Maybe because they attack, maybe via some other cards. For Lannisters, it is quite possible to weaken the unit you want to be weakened. And yeah, then maybe you charge, you have to reroll all those dice, and you're hitting not as much, and you are getting 2 hits for every miss, for example. That sounds pretty rough, and they won't die as fast, even on a 5+. The morale is a bit weak, of course. But if they hit back, and they have quite a very good chance with movement 6, that's awesome. And I especially love them because now they're considered to be included in some armies, and before that they were just some colorful clowns standing in the racket, not to be played. So yeah, I love them.
Yep.
They
definitely look viable now rather than not. They definitely look like they're going to see play. Without seeing everything shake up, we'll see like where everything lies. They definitely look like something that you want to pick. I'm gonna hit you with some combat maths, right? Like it's interesting. The -1 to hit is actually a very interesting concept. And is very difficult. Is actually one of the most difficult things to balance well. So the reason for that is that if somebody hits on a 3+ and you move them to a 4+, that's actually very, very different than if they're already hitting on a 5+ and you move them to a 6+. They're the extreme examples. But the point is that a flat -1 at all times has very, very different effects depending on what your opponent hits on. If we're already seeing units shifting to a 4+ to hit, unless they're elite, which they did mention and talk about a little bit, if we see cutthroats move to a 4+ or whatever else happens, if we see Stark Sworn Swords no longer hitting on 3s with their ability, if we see that 3+ is something that only elite units do, then making a -1 on a 4+ become a 5+, like particularly even on the charge, your 4+ to hit with a reroll was like you're going to hit 75% of the time. You make it a 5+ with a reroll, then you're right down at like 50% to hit, right? And if you're Raiders and you're already hitting on a 5, then you're now hitting on 6s. Even with a reroll, you're going to hit like nothing. Like it's going to have a huge effect upon weak units, which is positive. We've talked loads about the fact that too many units are weak, But the real kicker here is if there's any way to stack it with anything else, like as things exist, if you were able to stack that with Howland right now, then it's a bit ridiculous. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're just going to completely neuter a unit. So -1 to hit is actually a very, very complicated thing to balance, and one of the things that I would have liked to see them talk about some combat maths on. But there we go.
Yeah.
I think they're super, super powerful. There might end up being broken combos if other people have access to other ways to add up additional -1s.
Yeah, so Richard Schultz there just pointing out Sirio and Howland. You get Sirio's water dancing and Howland with the -1, potentially a -3 to hit these guys, which for most things would technically make them have to roll on 7s.
Sirio has to become agile, right? Sirio
Yes.
has to become a rule called agile. It has to be.
And not only that, I would like to add, a friend of mine and we thought about, for example, Rel of Faithful charging into them. And with a Red Priestess, for example, yeah, they get panicked, okay, they get vulnerable, but if you don't hit anything, the vulnerable is not as good as normally, yeah.
It just doesn't mean anything.
We tried him out, and he got at last. They were weakened. He got like 2 or 3 hits, and I was vulnerable, and I said, yeah, okay, no problem, because there won't be more than 3 hits anyway. So that is another side effect that is pretty cool with them. Vulnerable is just not as good as on them.
And weakened, if you can apply weakened, God, they're going to be doing.
It's almost like they synergize.
Not just exactly.
It's almost like they synergize.
And
it's not just they become more survivable. It's that they're also going to do a ton of hits back. Like that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
especially on units that are normally like an auto hit. For example, giants, weakened and -1 to hit.
Yeah.
Well, be my guest. There is a pretty good chance you won't do anything with your 7-point unit running at my Bloody Mama skirmishes.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. Yeah.
Definitely relevant.
They're relevant. That's what they are. They're relevant now.
Yeah, they are relevant.
They might become the new cutthroats. They might be the new unit spammed in everybody who's got a combo for them.
The rise of Vargo. Now, for anyone who's not been following my escapades, now you know why I've been practicing Vargo in all of my tournament games where I can and practice games where I can, because Vargo's coming, boys. It's definitely coming.
Nobody wants to see Vargo.
I want to see Vargo. I want to. He's great. I love him. All right, Pyromancers up next. The new Pyromancers, 7 points. Now, this is the unit that confuses me. Now, they talk about specific units. They talk about like power level and combat math and all this stuff. This unit doesn't roll 8 dice, so it's not possible that this unit can ever delete something from full ranks. But this is the unit that I see. Yeah, exactly. Stag Gregor, as we know him at the moment, yes, very likely. This is the unit that I see that I kind of go, yeah, this thing can still delete stuff. And then they talked about it not being very defensible. It's got its morale improved to 6+, but yeah, armor save is 6+. But then it got Horrific Visage as well. And it's the new version of Horrific Visage based on the number of ranks still in the unit. So if this ever charges first, you probably won't want to hit it back because you'll probably die because it's got full rank still. This unit confused me. This unit confused me because at the 7-point bracket, I looked at it and went, it's really good. Like, it's just, like, oppressively delete a unit a turn good.
So, we're talking about Lannister Guardsmen spam into Pyromancers Alpha Strike. Lannisters have become the new Alpha Strike just after his unit alone. Gregor Lannisters are the new Alpha.
Yeah. Imagine putting putting Gregor's. I mean, I know he's an expensive attachment, but Tywin's Mad Dog in the Pyromancers. Yeah.
That's 10 points.
That's 10 points. But that's a 10-point unit that charges 11 inches.
You're wasting your Sundering. I don't know.
Who cares? You're just going in. You're going in.
Gregor Commander with Overrun.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
Extra D3 wounds. As things stand, extra D3 wounds. You're into delete a unit kind of category. and boom, you're going straight into somebody else.
Yeah.
I think we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But everybody else looks like they got tweaked down and they got ramped up to 11. Do you know what I mean? Like, wham! Those guys are what you expected Pyromancers to be when they first came out.
Yep.
We'll see how they look versus everything else. Only 20% of stuff's changing.
Well,
we'll see what it looks like.
There's actually a crazy thing. Of course, on one of the podcasts, they said only 20% of stuff is changing, but then they kind of retconned that and said, oh no, there's only 20% changes, but actually there's a lot of tweaking. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, in the world of gaming, a tweak is a change, but you call it a balancing change. A change is where you change the core way of something works. This is something I've argued for a long time. You can do balance updates a lot by changing numbers around and tweaking things. But that is still balancing. That is still balancing changes, but they're not updating, which is, of course, the bigger major changes, the way the core mechanic of that particular ability or something works. So yeah, Lockerbie, Pyros.
Yeah. Go on. These 3 units, did they change or did they tweak?
Oh, jeez.
There you go.
Yep. That was a question. That was a question I was not prepared to answer. But maybe I can say something to the Pyromancers. I will dodge this bullet for the second. I will answer it at the end of the 4 units, okay?
Yeah, go on.
One thing that bugs me a little bit is the change of the wildfire, that it does absolutely the same in melee as in ranged.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, throwing jars with a liquid fire is as dangerous as pouring it over your enemies while you're in melee. So that is one thing I don't like design-wise, which was more fluffy beforehand. So in my opinion, but that's just one little thing. I think they're also they destroy stuff. If Melisandre wants to see things burn, those guys do it.
I can definitely I can see the theme going on here, though. You know, you've got a vial of this wildfire, and if you're throwing it, you know, you lean back to throw it, and there's always a good chance that some idiot drops it at his feet, or you know, it slips out of his hand, or he throws it into the head of the guy he's in behind of. You know, that's a thing that used to happen in warfare sometimes. So, you know. The thing is, that's like that works that way, and actually it does kind of like fit thematically because you don't get that reroll on the range attack. So you're not, those ones that you generate are going to do hurt, whereas on the melee charge where you are still running over to people, you're probably doing the same thing. They're probably just throwing these jars of vial at people, but the difference is I'm not trying to launch it at them. They're probably stood maybe a couple of meters away, and I'm throwing these little things at them and left, right, and center. So yeah,
true, but I mean, like, I feel like considering how dangerous the wildfire is I don't feel like they're just going to be like smashing it at their own feet here, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I never quite understood why they were so willing. Like, they were so willing to sacrifice themselves. These guys aren't fanatics, right? They're like slightly mad scientists, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Exactly, you know, maesters that have gone a bit cuckoo, maybe. I don't know exactly who's developing the wildfire.
They're not charging into battle like the Roller, knowing or hoping to be revived anyhow. Anyway,
I don't know why they're so willing to just like throw these things at somebody 1 meter away from them in the same way they did it from short range. I kind of would have liked them to maintain more of a short range attack and actually be weaker in combat. But as per usual, as they were before, because of the fact that when you charge, you get those rerolls to hit in nearly all cases, you're significantly stronger in combat, which always seemed odd for them.
Yeah, that's a bit like the feeling like they're going around, see those jars. Okay, guys, let's do this. And smash it up on the opponent. So yeah, that's a bit strange.
Yeah. Well, what can we say? Maybe the Alchemist Guilds only employs people who've been through probably a lobotomy, because you'd have to be pretty bloody insane to run around with jars of wildfire like we see there, just casually carrying them.
Yeah.
All right then. All right.
Only maesters that couldn't make it.
Yeah, maesters that were failures, basically. God, that's horrible, isn't it? Right, so we saw the Stag Knights. We're not really going to talk about too much on the Stag Knights. They are what they are, 8-point unit, very tanky with a resilience order. It's starting to become a bit more relevant, with the idea that, we saw the Wildfire Pyromancers not blocking, ignoring armor, but of course the resilience would still reduce that wound takeage. But yeah, overall, the building, kind of like building that tempo was like a Baratheon theme, I believe they're going to roll with. Very thematic with Eldon Commander, and his battle trance, is it, or battle song? Can't remember what it's called. One of his cards. So those are the 4 units we saw, and actually, as a little aside, which people perhaps didn't know, we mentioned it on, I think, the guild chat about these units. It was mentioned somewhere that they talked about the 5-point Lannister Guards, they talked about the 6-point Bloody Mummers, and then they talked about the 8-point Stag Knights. They didn't have a paragraph on the Pyromancers, and the article was actually updated, and a load of extra information was added. So those people who came to the article first of all and read this like very first thing,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
we actually have some info on the Pyromancers
Yeah,
now.
go back to it.
They forgot to edit that paragraph in, did they?
Yeah, it wasn't there
Good to
originally.
know.
So go back to
Might
the
go read
article, read it properly, guys, because those people who read it first time won't have seen this. And you can go and check the old videos. It literally wasn't there. So yeah, recommend you going back and reading it. And that's actually an interesting point I wanted to talk about. But Lockerbie, I think you had a point you wanted to mention about the 4 units we've seen there.
Yeah, Carlo asked me if they are really changes, or what did you call them? Tweaks?
Tweaks, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they are pretty much tweaks. So they do not change.
From the chat, according to the developers' chat, the Mummers were changed, the Pyromancers and the Guardsmen were tweaked.
There you go.
Yeah, that
So when you
that.
tweak stuff, you're allowed to completely give it new abilities, change everything about it.
And also change what the abilities do, of course. As well, horrific visage is now different.
Create new abilities that didn't previously exist and give them to a unit, and that's a tweak.
But I was very happy to see the Stag Knights at 8 points doing some stuff, because they are such an iconic unit, and a lot of people were just, priming them and then maybe paint, but never use them. And if that is what units at 8 points will look like in the future, oh man, I'm very excited, because that guys hit hard.
I'm gonna come out with a bit of heresy here. I like Baratheons. I don't like the Stag Knight models.
Yeah, anyway, so Carlo's opinions don't matter.
Everyone was like, I can't believe I never get to use my Stag Knights because they're crap, but they're so bad on the table, but they're such nice models. I'm like, they're the worst models in the box. I don't care. All the other models are nicer.
Right, anyway, we'll move on, because Carlo's opinions are clearly just wrong.
I know.
Completely.
So there was another thing I was going to mention, actually, about all of this, all these changes and everything here. And it's kind of in a good way, kind of in a bad way, not really sure way. They talked about all of this. They've talked about all these changes. They've talked about the tweaks. And I think what this says to me is that a lot more is changing than we realise. A hell of a lot more is coming out. A lot more changes to 5, 6-point units, 7-point unit, 8-point units. And there was a little bit of almost like a sadness. Yeah. A little bit of a sadness, I think, swept over a lot of people, because they realised that some of the things that they really love, that they do think are actually quite balanced. Something as an example, I'm trying to think of something that I heard mentioned. But things like blackguards and things like that would probably be being looked at. Maybe they'll keep these updated versions of the horrific visage and they'll look really good. But there's obviously this concept now that basically nothing is safe, nothing is sacred. And because of that, things that we know and love, which aren't even that strong, are probably going to get changed, and some of the theme of some of the units might change, which is of course a whole debate for another day, and we will see when they talk about the faction themings later on. But yeah, I heard some people talking about that as a little bit of a sadness. But yeah, no, definitely really happy that they are mentioning this, and I'm really happy that they're releasing these kind of like updates, and it's clear to me that they're releasing these updates relatively fresh. You know, I am convinced that Michael wrote this, and he realised he missed out a section on Pyromancers after a couple of people in community recognised it too, and he came back, he listened, and he added to the article. I don't know if it was just omitted originally. It seems to me like it was very much he forgot to mention it, and so he added it in. And if that is the case, then I think that's fantastic, because I think they are listening, and I think that that is the key takeaway here, is that they are listening. So, to Michael Chanel, who's definitely
Brett's
listening
calling
to
you out.
this here.
You're just unhappy because trappers are going to get nerfed. And
No,
you're
actually,
so right.
no. So the trappers...
No, it's not because of my trappers.
Nah. Trappers are going to get
They're so
nerfed,
balanced.
but I think
They're so
you are...
balanced.
I think you're blind if you think trappers are going to get completely and utterly gutted.
Oh no.
You know, I think what you're doing is you're using your hate to misguide what actually is the problem. And I talked about this a lot before, where people say auto wounds are an issue.
Spam will not survive the change.
Yes,
in its current
agreed.
form.
Surely.
Yeah, surely.
I agree.
Surely.
That is
But,
yeah. The auto wound mechanic is not actually an issue. And if you think that it is, then you need to think about how the panic mechanic is actually the main problem, and why Styre is so useful. Styre is not good because he causes auto wounds. Styre is good because he causes panic checks. And that is why... Yeah.
And what would we do as free folk if we have to face like 2 or 3 Lannister Guardsmen then without any good trappers?
You literally wouldn't be able
They're
to kill
just
them.
marching forward every
Yeah.
time using their order.
You can take a 40-point. You can take a 40-point free folk army. You can take 40-point Harmer spam. I'll take 2 Lannister Guardsmen and 30 points of NCUs because I can just waste anything I want and fight me. Fight me. I'll win.
Yeah. But we know the panic rules are changing. You know, we will actually see panic rules changing, and so I think it'll be interesting to see the changes to panic and how that affects things. But that's half an hour of the news, half an hour of the updates. It's all looking fun, it's all looking interesting. We will, of course, see where the Greyjoys are tomorrow, with perhaps, we think, some commander cards coming out, so that'd be interesting. But we'll move on to the main feature of today, which, of course, is tournament play. So, I say tournament play, I lie. I lie horrifically. It is not tournament play whatsoever. It is a tale of growth and decay. Now, if I'm not stupid, I believe Decay is the name of one of the German players, Lockerbie, that you sometimes play with. Is that right? Was that a complete and utter fluke that you called it growth and decay?
That is in complete and utter fluke, and I'm sorry for misleading that.
It's fine.
It was just in my head doing some opposite things, and now it's only Tale of Growth because nobody's ever said Tale of Growth and Decay. So yeah.
Hey,
it was
just
it's in a rolling review anyway. So yeah, we just deleted that.
I really like the idea that it's just this tale of growth, and then you've got a player associated with it. This tale of growth and decay. No, he's here. No, right. So there's not much on the A Song of Ice and Fire stats page at the moment. There's a bit of information that you can go check it out, but it's obviously still in its early days yet. It is kicking off soon though, and we've got access to the campaign rules. Hey. So, Lockerbie, they're also available on the Guild website, which I'll show people later on. Did you want to talk about this then? The Tale of Growth. What's it all about?
Yeah,
Who are you? Who am I?
It all started. The idea just came along when people were a bit tournament tired, and the lockdown and stuff just denied any tournament to VRV. So seeing people, playing with them, talking, and just having a good time was not possible this year. And I come from a very active community from other tabletops, especially skirmishes were my choice in the first place. And I wanted to do something. I'm just always doing stuff and being active, and if I don't do anything, I feel like I'm dead weight lying around. So So it started everything in the Discord of our German community, and I asked people, "Hey guys, I want to organize something. There don't seem to be a lot of tournaments in Germany at the moment, and TTS is just superbly programmed, and everything that's in it. It helped me a lot staying in the game because I started playing Song of Ice and Fire when the first lockdown and stuff just hit us." And yeah, it led to a lot of buys,
Mhm.
to be honest. And yeah, I asked them, and they said, "Well, tournaments, not my case at the moment. I don't want to play competitively, and currently the meta is kind of stuck in a situation that is not very favorable for people to try out different things and new factions." And so they said, "Well, what about a campaign?"
Mhm.
And I did something like that beforehand in one of the skirmishes I played. One campaign was for my girlfriend especially, and I had some stuff lying around and wanted to implement that.
Mhm.
And yeah, the rank and file system of Song of Ice and Fire made it so much easier to come up with stuff, with doing some crazy ideas, and so I had a lot of support from the German community. We talked about it day and night sometimes, and especially on the weekends. And yeah, they are all of the tabletop wardens were super supportive, and yeah, they gave me a lot of feedback,
Mhm.
and I showed the first layout, the first draft to those people, and they were instant. I was instantly overwhelmed with a lot of questions. So how do you want to proceed? What are the resources you can gather? How do you want to unlock those things? What about the starter boxes? Is everything available? Is only are only the units available, etc., etc.?
Mhm.
And yeah, we discussed it a lot. And my main idea behind it was to start very small, to start with only the starter box, and that is why we made the cut right there. Only the starter box for every faction.
Mhm.
And but we also wanted I also wanted to include the Boltons because I think neutrals are otherwise just, well, there, and it should be more thematic. And
Yeah.
because I have something like a role playing background also,
Mhm.
I wanted to design an experience that you can have with your army, with your faction.
Mhm.
It won't be just models painted or not painted on the table, battling it out. It will be a story, so you can see there is
Mhm.
always some kind of introduction, some kind of backup story, some kind of background story, not backup story, some kind of background story to those different scenarios. And yeah, so I started to write something down. So the houses are on an uprising and have to gather resources to supply their armies and to support them.
Mhm.
And you will have the chance to unlock further units, attachments, commanders, etc. And they all will cost you resource points in any way.
Mhm.
And yeah, each scenario will be so different that you have to really think about your units choices.
Yeah.
And a lot of units that are normally auto included won't be as good in some of those scenarios. So yeah,
Cool.
and you're living a little bit of a story here.
Mhm. No, I think I
So
like it. I think it's good. I think this idea of like rolling campaign using the kind of core kind of principles that the community campaign has, the Simon one, using kind of core components of that, but then implementing them in a very different way, starting from a very different point from the starter box and having that rolling increase points idea, I think is a really good idea. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it is a fantastic idea. I think and I think the thing that I wanted to bring up today and link it to a little bit of what we would normally talk about is competitive play. Um, there have been rumors online recently. I say rumors, but people have said it. players in the Patreon Cup have been saying it. You know, people that are very into the game, very, very supportive of what we do here, and other people. And they're just fed up with playing against the same stuff. They don't want to see Free Folk Insig spam anymore. They don't want to see Starks. They don't want to see Mother of Dragon. Mother of Dragons has been out for like, what, call it a month now? And people are already fed up.
They're not even out.
Technically not even out. Yeah.
They're not out and nobody wants to play against
No one wants to play. People have literally said, I'm not playing. I'm not playing the tournament anymore. I'm not going to play any more games. Because of this kind of like, these meta.
Because they've been paired against dragons.
Yeah. This campaign is obviously to try and fight that. You know, you're fighting against the tournament fatigue. You're fighting against what we know and love, in a really positive way, in my opinion. I think it's fantastic. I'm more interested in playing this than I am just entering another tournament.
Yeah, that was exactly one thing that I heard over and over again, and it echoed through all of the community, that people are really fed up with facing something they already know the outcome 90% of the time. And people can try to play dragons, but they have to gather a lot of resource points. And I know from some people in the German community that they think about gathering the resource points 4 weeks, and on the final week they maybe can place the Mother of Dragons with their 3 dragons. That is a possibility, but they have to really, really, really be they have to be behind those resource points a lot. And I can maybe tease a little bit that it's not only unlocking new things, attachments, commanders, better units, but there will be a point in this campaign where death is permanent for your unlocked attachments, commanders, and maybe units. So you will not know when it will happen, but there is an option within that your unlocks can die and you cannot pick them anymore.
I absolutely love it. I'm gonna 100%
Dragon Commander after you've bought 3 dragons.
100%.
Then you have a very, very huge problem, yeah.
100% I am going to be playing neutrals, and my first unlock that I'm going to try and do is get Jack and Hagar, just so I can murder people and have them actually murdered. I love the idea.
But that won't be in all of that scenario, but that will be one of them. Because I think that is when things get really spicy and people will feel with their unlocked commanders or attachments.
I like the idea.
Yeah, they will be afraid. If there is a Jackin, oh boy.
I love the idea of the mountain that rides charging in with some pyromancers or whatever he's running in with, and then him, for whatever reason, getting run down by cavalry, and he just doesn't stand back up this time. Love it.
Yeah.
Carlo,
yeah,
what do you think?
We're looking at 5 rounds. That's fixed? It's 5 rounds, starting at 30 points, moving up to 50. Is that?
Well, that is a very good question. It is in a rolling review, so I will see how many people will join this campaign, because that's also something I have to test out. And 5 rounds are at the moment the sweet spot, I think, that I can round out and put the work in it deserves to be relatively balanced. And yeah, you can also see in this document you just have, if you can scroll a little bit downwards, how to accumulate RP. That are the no
too far. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. How to accumulate those RP that are the resource points. There are some fluffy modes that allow people that are not winning as many games to gain more resource points to unlock different things faster. So Cry for Help, for example, losing a match gives you 3 RP. While winning a match for every 3 MP, which are the might points, and which is nothing else than the difference you won to your opponent. So, for example, if Carlo won against me 9-4, he will receive 5 MP, but only 1 RP after the match.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
okay.
And MP is the is winning the campaign.
Yeah,
And
that are the might points.
RP is the way that we unlock new stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it will get tougher and tougher for those people winning those matches staying at the top. So that is the thematic background. So if you are reigning over a huge country, for example, it is harder to stay on top.
Mhm.
And yeah, I wanted to also include something that will people encourage to do something for the game they love so much. So a letter home, for example, write a short battle report and post it anywhere, Facebook, Discord, social media, etc. I just want people to love this game again. How I still feel, because I don't play as long as you guys do, and I'm still completely enthusiastic about it. And I'm learning new factions. I'm currently painting up my neutrals because I just love the playstyle of Bruce Bolton. And yeah, that's the idea behind it.
I think it's a really good idea. I really like the fact that the community engagement, doing the Facebook, Discord posts, whatever it is, getting those battle reports up and talking about the campaign as well, but actually being worth something. Actually being able to support and tell people about how fun the game can be again.
Yep.
Because I think people forget.
So the games are intended to be on TTS, I assume. Or...
Yes. No, we meet up anywhere in the world.
The Americans are.
Yeah, the Americans are. Yeah.
No. They all will be on TTS, and they are under a rolling review.
To sign up still?
Sorry.
Yes.
And you're still looking for people to sign up?
Yes, of course. The more, the merrier. I always say. And as I said, it's under a rolling review. So if, well, I don't know, 10 people are participating, and 8 of them write me, well, dude, 3 RP for losing a match is a little bit too much. And then we will change it while it rolls.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the idea behind it.
Cool. Just experimenting as time goes on, changing the to make it. I guess the key here is to make it fun. That's the purpose of this is just to make it fun. And if people aren't having fun, then you just change it up, make people have fun again. And it's a way for competitive players to still play competitive games. You still want to win, but you're not having to play against the same old, and you can actually mix it up. I really like it. And also,
I'm still figuring out something for the one that wins it in the end.
Yeah.
Because, well, I cannot fix the game with this campaign.
No.
I cannot fix something like, okay, I'm getting an activation for 2 points for 2 RP or something, but I want people to have fun and live it through with their own unit, with their army. They are building up this army, and from each round to each round, they can accumulate more and more and more and introduce stuff.
I like to see the narrative campaign side of it built up as well. So, your Baratheons, say, going out there and making this trail, fighting off some Boltons perhaps, and then meeting a Lannister army on the road and losing some forces, whatever it might be. Yeah. I'm hyped. Now, I did see a question in chat there from Vicky, and someone said, or Vicky said, where can you expect to find these rules? Well, wouldn't that be convenient if they were in a nice place, easy accessible to everybody? Boom! Yes, they are on the Guild website. You can see up here, the Tale of Growth is on the Guild website, starting in 4 days' time, so not long. And I believe the documents are on here. You can just
you can click the button and you just download the PDF. I think.
Yeah, it just goes straight through to the document there. So they are on there. Easy peasy. Just head to the Guild website. That's the Song of Ice and Fire guild.com. Hit that Tale of Growth button, and you'll be there. Cool. No, I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
With decay.
Yeah, with decay.
I think he signed up for it.
Should we check?
Yeah.
I already saw.
He was one of the first to sign up.
He is. He's
maybe
on there
because of the name.
He is on there.
Yeah, but I also want to really thank the German community here, because and also you guys, you are supporting this stuff like I've never experienced before, and they are all you are pretty helpful, and all the community is super helpful, and I got tons and tons of reviews and of questions I had to answer, and yeah, it's pretty nice stuff, and I'm still considering if I would play neutrals and do the Jack and Hakar thing you mentioned, or just go with the free folk and put 2 big giants in the middle and say, let's rock 30 points. I got 2 giants here.
Yeah, 2 giants and some raiders. There you go, done. Right. So yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Now, Lockerbie just touched on a very important point there. We are at A Song of Ice and Fire Stats. We are looking to support some alternative methods out there. Carlo heading up the ELO system, creating the ELO system out there. I've been looking at some campaign stuff myself, looking at how we can introduce some interesting campaign concepts. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Because we want to keep the game fresh, we want to keep the game going. If anything, the game is got to keep going until these Greyjoys arrive, until the changes come out. I think it was interesting actually seeing.
They've got more has to have a chance to play as Greyjoys before the game's allowed to die. Then
Yeah,
once
exactly.
Ilya's had his Greyjoys,
Yeah.
then we'll let it die.
No, yeah. But no, we do want to support the game. We do really want to do some interesting stuff. So if you've got ideas,
Absolutely.
if you've got stuff that you want to bring to us and say, look, like I've got this concept, I've got this thing that I think might work using A Song of Ice and Fire Stats is like a base or as a hub, or using the guild website, let us know and we can see what we can do, because it's better that you get support and we grow the community, we keep the community growing as much as we can, instead of just saying, well, do it your own thing. It's your idea, you just do it. Because that's a one-way strip to not getting the support, not getting the exposure, and unfortunately things not happening. So let us know. Let the guild members know. Let us on Vice and Fire Stats know if there's anything that we can do to help you. Alongside that, then, I think it was somewhat relevant that...
Just quickly, I'll answer a question that hasn't even been asked.
Okay.
And I think that people either won't know or will start asking very, very soon, which is this is listed as campaign play on the site. It will not affect your ranking. All submissions do not change your own ranking. So even if the games are unbalanced, even if you don't feel that it's even, nothing is changing. Like, this doesn't affect stats. It will be recorded on your profile, but your ELO won't change. So
Exactly.
because it is listed as campaign play, you'll see up at the top left it says unranked campaign play. So so just in case that question comes up, or before it even comes up, I'm sure you'll get asked it, we'll get asked it loads of times. But yes, that's how this works. It is you
completely
can
for
run
fun.
an unbalanced, unfair a campaign as you want. If it's listed as unranked campaign play, then it doesn't affect stats and it doesn't affect you personally. So there you go.
I think it's really good. I think it's really good.
And it's more about the experience you will have, and having fun games, and maybe some new options, as not the same old scenarios.
I understand that some people take their own ranking very seriously, and that makes them not want to enter more casual events or things that they feel like they always must be trying to win as much as possible. So this hopefully this unranked option, this unranked campaign play, will hopefully promote people to feel just like they can just be playing for pure fun. I don't get caught up over my ranking, but I understand that for some people it feels quite serious. It feels very serious to have an ELO rating. I guess for people who play computer games a lot, it's just completely normal. But for people who are not used to it, they think that their ranking is very, very important. And so this is a way for us to have best of both worlds.
I played a lot of games this weekend and crushed my ranking terrible. I think I lost like 70 ranking points nearly by just playing lots of neutrals, neutrals and Baratheons. Did I play Baratheon? I played a Baratheon matchup against and I lost horrifically because Gregor went on a rampage. But yeah, so I tanked my rating completely playing neutrals, and it was pretty sad. But at the end of the day, it's just a rating. You just get it back eventually, right? If I'm good enough. So I did mention, or we did see another name in chat. Leet Teddy, otherwise known as Chris Eustace, is obviously heading up the A Tale of A Song of Ice and Fire gamers with all the painting things going on. That was, absolutely interesting, fantastic. I am somewhat the way through my pledge of stuff. I say a somewhat, but you can see the amount of progress I've made on that unit of raiders there, which looks awfully similar to the picture that I pledged, if I can find it. It wasn't that one. Was it in this group here? I think it was in this one. Yeah, look at that. That's that picture, that unit there. Lots of progress. Yeah. But no, check out the Song of Ice and Fire gamers Instagram, because there is things happening. There is progress happening, and some of the stuff is just take.
I've made 0 progress on my actual pledge. How close should I go? Whoa,
that's good. That's good enough. Yeah.
But the thing that I probably really should have pledged, which I wanted to get finished before we started, is I've based the rest of the army, which I'm not pledging. So I'm doing something, but I'm still 0 points in, 0 progress. I have not actually achieved anything that I said I would. So 2 weeks left.
Yeah, 2 weeks left. Get it done on the last day, right? Okay, so we are going to stop by and talk about some obviously tournament stuff. It's what we are predominantly here for, but we are aware that the tournament scene is getting a little bit strenuous for some people. But we've got some obviously things to go through and have a little look at here. So, we've got the big one, which is the French Masters, which I was going to talk about if I can find it. There we go. I've completely lost it again. There we go. I'm not completely blind. Right. The French Masters, it is coming to its final conclusion this Thursday at, I believe, 9 o'clock French time. So that's 8 o'clock UTC or GMT. That's 8 p.m. I believe the French are going to be doing not just a French stream for the great French community over there, but there is going to be a English stream as well for the final and the other final, like the 3-4 position as well. We've got, if I remember rightly, we've got Tonio Scorpio with his Free Folk up against Chabaloo and his Targaryens. It is Mother of Dragons versus Free Folk, and in the semi-final we see Bob Bernard versus, or the other, if you want the third, fourth place, Bob Bernard versus Decipher with Daenerys, both versions of, versus some Starks. Yeah, there's some great stuff coming from the French community, guys. Check out the English streams. Check out the stream. We'll obviously be advertising it through the guild later on in the week. We want to support the French guys. They've done an absolutely fantastic tournament. The games are brilliant. All of the games are available on the stats site. Fully recommend you go and watching out some of the stuff. So yeah,
there will be a game posted tomorrow at 8 o'clock GMT, 9 o'clock GMT +1 French time. And then the final will be on Thursday. It will be on one of the 2 channels, which I just posted into the chat. Each channel will do one of the videos. But yeah, they will be split between ASOIF FR, Song of Ice and Fire France, or La Cornelle à Tres Des. Absolutely butcher that lovely pronunciation there. But those 2 very active French channels there who've been doing tons of TTS streaming. So they'll each be posting one of them. So look out for those.
Yeah.
And you'll find over in the battle reports, they've been posting loads of stuff. Last 10, 15 videos have all been from them. So you can see that they're really, really pushing out a lot of high quality battle report content at the moment.
Yeah. So check it out. So it's the La Cornella 3DS and songoficeandfire.fr. Fantastic, yeah. I guess that leaves us with one last tournament to mention, because there's not been a huge amount of tournament news over the last kind of week or so. Wolves Howling has continued. The other ELO event, we've got the Patreon Cup still continuing, another ELO event. There are some various things cropping up. We've got things like a one-day event held in Sydney. I don't know how many people turned up to this event from Death. Yeah, I don't think they recorded it in the end. But I think the tournament definitely went ahead. So we'll see what happens there. And aside from that, obviously we've got the massive Spanish tournament, which is kind of still going on. It's also kind of taken a bit of a hit because of the COVID kind of wave coming back. But they are continuing where they can, and games are still happening, so that's fantastic. We'll bring you more news of that when there's significant news there to talk about. But the last one we wanted to mention today is, of course, the A Song of Ice and Fire World Cup. It is gaining momentum. It is getting there. I don't know how many players we've got signed up as it is that's standing across all the events. But get yourself into an event. The EU West region is absolutely packed. The EU, was that EU? Yeah, the EU East. No, EU West is packed. That's right.
I even renamed it Central and East to maybe make it seem a bit more relevant to people. But to be honest, probably what's going to happen is, unless there's an absolute wave of people who join this week, it's probably going to become one big EU, which is actually going to be bigger than the 32 person as it stands. But you know, like the disparity, I don't want to be pushing people to move from one to the other or pick between them. So we'll just have one, which is currently would be around 50 people. Obviously, you know, it would have tons of qualification spots. You know, like it's in the tournament document about how qualification spots are assigned. It's worked out based on the number of players and how strong the players in the region are. But currently, the way things stand, it looks like it's actually going to be a EU and non-EU big events. Very, very few. The thing, very, very few from Australia. That's what there's been a rise and a push from players in North America. They've been signing up, but there's still again a big disparity between East and West. So they'll get rolled into one big NA. But at the moment, Australia has so few entries that it's going to have to be rolled into somebody else's regional, which means that basically we'll just have a EU and non-EU, or maybe an NA and a non-NA, depending on where the Australians choose to go. They can go to whichever one they prefer for the time zone. But as it stands, there are about 5 Australians.
Yeah,
which is a bit unfortunate because they have previously been very, very active and very, very, very strong tournament players.
Definitely. So yeah, I think it's going to be. I think obviously it's going to be a great event. The more people, the better the event will be. So spread it around. You know, there'll be lots of stuff going out this week to try and drive up hype, and obviously in the run up to the 10th of January, which is the start of the World Cup, the last major tournament of 1.7. The big underlining. This is it. This is the 1.7 game. Sorry, 1.6 game. This is what we saw. We've seen Mother of Dragons in a full-on tournament for the first time. All of the new releases will be available, and we will go from there. And we will underline 1.6 with a bang in time for Greyjoys and 1.7 to come out. And you can bet there'll be something in the pipeline for 1.7 and some really interesting stuff coming out for 1.7 in the new year. So let's underline 1.6 with a bang. And yeah. Fantastic.
To address some questions from the chats, it currently looks like there will be a new rulebook before the end of the year. We will be using, assuming that rulebook comes out on time, never can 100% tell, with Simon. They say it's going to come out in the next 2 weeks. We will be using the new rulebook. Unless there is an official errata FAQ at least a couple of days before the tournament starts, which is January the 10th. So unless they effectively follow that rulebook with an official errata which changes rules on units, etc., Varys, Walder, blah, 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 units, pyros, they're all as they currently are. We're not going to half use Visions and Flames. Yeah, that's an absolute nightmare route to go down, in my opinion. So we have new rules under current War Council unit costs and abilities. I say that because I say current War Council unit costs and abilities because there is also a discussion. I believe that Red Priestess has changed. I think that she is now an Ore. They have done an update to War Council to get rid of the accidental Benjen Stark that they put in, the accidental Samwell Tarly, and they kept the Red Priestess in the way they put it in. War Council is official in my eyes. That means that Red Priestess has changed. She has been nerfed, I believe, now. I'm on board with the fact that she has been nerfed. Now that they have done another update of War Council and kept her in that way.
Sure.
So just, for everybody to know, it's what's in War Council come the start of the event.
Yep.
You're going to have a look at these rules, see if your army has got better, worse, whatever. Who knows? I have no inside knowledge about what's coming. That's what we're going to go with, yeah? If we get something official, we use it. Visions and Flames, not official. They're not official.
So, Lockerbie, hyped for World Cup?
Yes. Completely. I'm as no, that sounded ironic, didn't it? Well, no, I'm really hyped. Because as I said, I'm pretty new to the game. I'm still discovering it. I'm still learning a lot. And if I'm playing in my campaign, learning means losing, and in that case, I still win because I get RP. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to watch those games. I have a lot of work to do under the current situation, so I don't know if I will sign up myself just to gather experience. I don't think I will be successful, but the people are always nice, and yeah, gathering experience is the best way to learn the game and get better, and I'm super hyped. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
It should be good, and you can bet that there'll be games streamed left, right, and centre by all your favourite community contributors in the run-up to 1.7. So we'll leave it there, guys. Any closing thoughts, Lockerbie?
Yeah, I'm just thankful for you guys mentioning it, supporting it, and from the community the support. And I'm really looking forward to have plenty of people in the campaign, in the tournaments, and hyping up the game until we can meet again.
Definitely.
And yeah, I love playing it, and thank you very much. And thanks for the community because they give so much feedback. And yeah.
Cool.
Let's make a tale of growth out of it.
Let's indeed make a tale of growth out of it, guys. So yeah, sign up for the Tale of Growth. Drop Lockerbie a message on Discord. You sign up for the campaign there and get yourself some just fun campaign, stuff that you don't have to take massively seriously, but a campaign that you can build a narrative of and just play your favorite faction in your favorite way and not have to face the horrible things that lurk in the corners of the room. Carlo, World Cup, hype.
Yeah, absolutely. I fixed the ELO rating system. I did some actual work on the website. I feel significantly better about the game and life. So I'm all guns blazing, ready to really get the World Cup going, give it a really good push, get all the organization done, and just trying to pump some life back into the game as a whole, but also my my interactions with the game. So and this campaign play has really got me excited for that idea as well. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
Cool. So guys, check out the World Cup on TTS, coming to your doors on the January the 10th. And the last thing I wanted us to leave us with is a lovely kind of gesture from the community towards one of our favourite people out there, a guy who we all know from the German community, known as Bartender, for all the hard work of TTS that he put in. And we see just here, €360 raised by the community, by various different people, obviously all anonymous, to try and get this man, this beautiful man, some Greyjoys and all the associated boxes when they release. So there's a happy Bartender for everyone, and we will catch you next week for more tournament talk. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks, Bartender. Goodbye.